lap number 1. The white 917 Porsche. And when you check the history of Le Mans, you'll find no Porsche listed. We have trouble. We have trouble out at Maison Blanche. See the smoke billowing. There is a problem. Then we hear the sirens. There's indication, perhaps, of a pileup out in that very treacherous, difficult, troublesome area of the White House.
There's a tremendous amount of black smoke down there, Keith. It looks like there must be a big gasoline fire.
Trying to check the field as they came by, I did not see Porsche number 10. I did not see Ferrari number 19.
Yeah, but he's got a pretty, he wasn't that far up. There's a white car in there. You can.
Well, that's the way it was this afternoon, Phil. And we, of course, know the story of what happened at this hour as we move well past the 10 o'clock hour and past the 1/3 mark at Le Mans. The man killed was the owner and driver of Porsche number 10, a 917, John Wolfe, 32-year-old from Great Britain.
Here's the first row with Mario Andretti in the black car on the pole. Number 5 next to him is Villeneuve in car number 12. Villeneuve gets it on the start. The green light on. They're racing at Monza. Villeneuve in the Ferrari has the lead. Andretti is second. Peterson is dropping back in the field as they head for that puck. There's an accident!
There's a big crash there. It looked like a car in the center of the field. It could have been a black car. It could have been Ronnie Peterson.
It's a bad one.
It's a big accident. These cars are full of fuel. The beginning of this, there's a driver. It looks like James Hunt running to the car that's burning there. He's running to that fire.
The word, Jackie, is it's Peterson. Peterson in the burning car. A number of other cars involved in it. We'll pick them up as we can. But that is bad. It's very bad. He's still in that car, and you can see, this is terrible.
They're finding the fire. They've got very quickly onto it. There's James Hunt. There's another driver. Patrick Depailler is in there.
They're getting him out of the car.
He's out the car now. Thank goodness for that. They're getting the fire under control. The car is Ronnie Peterson's car. The drivers themselves getting Ronnie out of the car. There's a lot of other cars involved here. There must be 7 or 8 cars involved. Niki Lauda gets the break on Mario Andretti. He passes, but it's just in this middle bunch here in the center of the field there that this accident occurs. Ronnie Peterson slams into the barrier at well over 100 miles an hour. A very serious impact.
All right, here it is in slow motion, Jackie.
The slow motion here, it seems to me as I read it, that in fact the driver Patrese seems to have come into contact with James Hunt in a red and white car. He bounced across. It looks like he has hit Ronnie Peterson on the rear wheel. Ronnie then veers right down, crashes into the barrier. The front end of the car got the barrier. The car then leapt across the road, hit the Tyrrell car of Didier Pironi, and that in fact was a heavy impact as well. And of course all the other cars were involved because they couldn't see because of the instant fire.
Earnhardt's old crew chief, now an ARCA stock car driver. Pretty good one at that.
Oh, no doubt about it. You know, when those cars go by, doesn't it make your hair on your arms stand up?
Smoker right there, trying to get the number off that car. Oh, and we got a problem. 2, 3 cars spinning. Down the back straightaway, we're going to go yellow right away. See if we can figure out who it was involved in that incident. Steele, Baird, and Finley all coming across the line. Can't tell with the lighting. Oh, there's the 72 car.
Chad Coleman.
Yep, out of Greenville, South Carolina. Coleman heavily damaged. You don't get a real appreciation of how fast they're coming through that chicane on the TV. They carry a lot of speed. Oh.
And Ratzenberger has had a heavy, heavy shunt indeed. Here we can see now as Ratzenberger comes down through the Villeneuve curve. Oh, and something on the back of the car. And that was a very, very heavy impact indeed. The car then slides all the way down from that initial impact right down to the apex of the Tosa corner itself.
And luckily for the marshals and Roland Ratzenberger, there is the car is not upside down. The car is the right way up there. So we see Dr. Sid Watkins, Professor Watkins, for the second time this weekend, being very careful with Dreifer.
Then comes news of a far more serious accident on the Mulsanne Straight, and the pace cars are sent out to shepherd the field. An eerie silence blankets Le Mans. At 12 minutes past 3, Joe Gartner's Kramer Porsche goes off the road at almost 180 miles per hour, demolishing 100 meters of safety barriers shortly before the Mulsanne restaurants. The car is launched first into a telegraph pole, and then the trees, disintegrating over 200 meters. The popular 32-year-old Austrian is killed instantly.
Thomas's car spins out at the end of the backstretch. He's broadside to the oncoming traffic. Look out! Bobby Myers and Paul Goldsmith slam into the stalled car. The cars are thrown 200 feet by the impact. Paul Goldsmith is on his feet, stunned but able to walk. Let's hear how the wreck looked to him.
Coming down the back stretch, I was following Billy, probably about one car length behind him, and his windshield was a little bit fogged up, and I couldn't see through the car to see ahead. And when I moved towards the outside rail, then I could see past the right side of his car, and I thought I seen a car on the groove. Just about that time, why, Billy's car just disappeared. I didn't even see where it went. It just like an explosion, and there was no time to avoid hitting it. Because when I hit it, why, the back end come up over, and then I went up in the air. I don't know how high, but I came down, and then it rolled over on the top, and rolled over once, and back onto its wheels.
I tell you what, Gary, that car's really tore up. The fuel tank, the tires landed way down here in front of us. The nose of the fuel tank or something is way down here in front of us. He really hit that thing hard.
I don't know if we have that on the replay. We have the security keeping people back. A vicious crash coming off the fourth corner as Vogler was coming down to take the white flag.
Yes, it's really was a hard crash.
The red flag out again. The race has been halted once again. Rich Vogler, a 5-time USAC midget champion, a 2-time sprint car champion, had this race in hand. He had a sizable lead. There was a good battle for second. He came off the corner and made vicious contact with the outside wall. Once again, security trying to keep everybody back away so they can tend to the driver involved.
Grand Prix or ground effect or Indianapolis car. Gordon Smiley going turn 3 at this point. Suddenly the car veers right to the left and slams into that wall, probably at more than 200 miles an hour. Gordon Smiley died instantly in this accident, a horrific accident. Again, you see the car beginning to slide at this point. He corrects the slide and the car goes in exactly the way that the front wheels are pointing and slams almost head-on into the wall. The compression of the car at that speed, it's almost like an aircraft accident, almost that of a ballistic missile with fuel, oil, and the car totally destructing itself. Modern racing car is a deformable structure, but man was never designed to live through an accident such as this.
Number 60 is Gary Everett. He is battling William Metzger of Deer Park, New York for the lead. The car gets a bit loose on Everett and then comes around. Behind him, drivers take evasive action. In one of the strangest accidents we've ever witnessed, Neil Cannell gets up and into Gary Batson, whose car rides along the top of the wall. And fuel spilling from the cars ignited. Cannell was able to scramble out of his car and away to safety. Sadly, 40-year-old Gary Batson, the driver of car number 96, was badly burned, transported to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and succumbed to injuries from those burns this morning.
After the cars finally stopped, fuel which had leaked from Batson's car erupted into a huge inferno. Connell was finally able to loosen his belts and climb out uninjured. But Batson, a restaurant and convenience store operator from Travelers Rest, South Carolina, could not escape. He suffered severe burns over 80% of his body and was taken to the burn center at North Carolina Memorial Hospital in Chapel Hill. At 12:35 this afternoon, Gary Batson died of those injuries.
Then the race underway. Ayrton Senna leading from Michael Schumacher in the Benetton. Schumacher, the winner of both races prior to San Marino and the championship leader. Senna's car inexplicably veering off to the right and careering at high speed into the concrete wall at the side of the track on the Tamburello curve. The red flag brought out to stop the race. The marshals on the spot immediately, but nothing that they could do. The whole right side of Ayrton Senna's car destroyed. Evidence the sheer destructive power of the accident. A crash happening on a part of the circuit that had seen accidents in the past, notably in 1989 when Gerhard Berger went off in a Ferrari. But the results of this incident, much more tragic. Ayrton Senna lifted into the air ambulance and taken straight to hospital at Bologna, where later in the afternoon the dreadful news was announced that Senna had died as a result of his injuries.
The wreck took place during a sportsman race at the Speedway. As you can see, one of the cars, number 57, pinned against the wall at the Speedway. The roof of the car collapsed, killing the driver, 26-year-old Russell Phillips from Charlotte, North Carolina. The Sportsman Series was begun by the Speedway several years ago to give new drivers experience in driving super speedways.
The danger of fire and the lack of fire marshal training was vividly illustrated at Zandvoort, Holland in 1973. Roger Williamson from Britain crashed. Fire marshals stood by uselessly and watched as another driver, David Purley, desperately tried on his own to rescue his trapped friend. The car was too heavy and the fire too great for an inexperienced rescue attempt.
Companion to the relentless pursuit of optimum speed. Every race driver knows somewhere in his mind that his profession demands the sternest penalty for error. A driver acknowledges this and files it away to concentrate on the business at hand, seeking the edge. Roger Williamson, one of the most gifted of the new drivers, loses his life when trapped in his burning car in his second Formula One race.
Just after 11 o'clock, Rosemeyer sets off and records 276.1 miles per hour on his return run. 5 miles per hour better than Caracciolla's best. But he complains that the engine hasn't reached the required temperature. After the radiator opening has been closed off a little, he departs once more and never returns. The Auto Union is struck by a gust of wind at around 270 miles per hour. Even the great Rosemeyer is powerless to save himself. The streamliner crashes to destruction. Bernd is found lying among some trees beside the Autobahn.
Joe Weatherly died instantly when he lost his brakes and hit the wall at Riverside. Weatherly's car owner, Bud Moore, was overcome with grief.
It was just hard on all of us. I know that I come out here quit racing myself. I told my wife when we come back from California, I said, I think I'm going to quit. I'm not going through it. So she says, well, you got to sit down and figure it wasn't all your fault. He said, just remember them brakes y'all never had run on the racetrack, and Ford Motor Company had you to take the car out there and put that type of brake on there. And so you got to figure they was at blame as much as you were. We'll let it go.
Saltaba y se estrelló contra el mástil de una bandera. Murió instantáneamente. El francés, que había sido uno de los máximos representantes del Grand Prix en los años 50, corrió su última carrera con trágicas consecuencias.
Two motorcycle racers were killed and another seriously injured in a horrific 125-mile-an-hour crash during the Australian TT. Tragedy struck in the second lap at the Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst when a sidecar lost control and hit a concrete pillar, throwing the rider and the passenger onto the track. The prize money from the race was distributed to the families of the two men.
Seul derrière l'UITAS Saint-Martin puis le drame, les voitures de Sauce et Neves sont côte à côte. La suite, une série interminable de tonneaux, un choc inouï, des images insoutenables. En un instant, tout a basculé. Guinève est victime de sa passion. Il est déjà trop tard, les commissaires de piste hésitent, certains extincteurs ne fonctionnent pas. Pourquoi ?
Suddenly, the specter of tragedy steps in from the wings. Friday Hessler. Death halts the race, casts a pall over fans and drivers alike.
was so distraught and disgusted by the severity and the destructiveness of the accident that I went back and got into my car and drove back round to the pits.
It was one of the saddest days of my career, because it was, Francois was going one way to replace Jackie next year on the team. It was his new chance for next year, and it was last race for Jack, and it was a tragedy.
Finally, tragedy struck the sports world again Friday. For the third time in 10 months, a NASCAR driver lost his life. Neil Bonnet died of injuries sustained from a head-on collision while practicing for the upcoming Daytona 500. The winner of 18 Winston Cup victories was 47 years old.
The wreck happened in turn 4. Neil Bonnet's car slammed hard into the outside wall. Running in windy conditions, another driver said Bonnet appeared to simply lose control of the car. Bonnet was attempting a comeback to the NASCAR circuit this year. Those who saw the wreck knew it was bad from the moment it happened.
I mean, they covered the car up. They had to cut the top of the car off, but they covered the car. They didn't let nobody take any pictures. Nothing.
Bonnet was rushed to the nearby Halifax Medical Center trauma unit. Outside, longtime friend Bobby Allison waited with other friends of Bonnet. Allison, who lost racing sons Davey and Clifford in the past 2 years, told me he understood why I was there, but under the circumstances, he didn't feel like talking.
Here's Giuseppe Farina in a terrific struggle for... LeHoux's car overturns and the driver is taken from the wreckage. His skull is fractured. Farina escaped from his car with minor injuries, but LeHoux dies later in the hospital.
Just 7 laps into the event, 2 drivers would be thinking about a different race. This one for survival.
We were parked in a car in the drivers and families area off of turn 4, and that wreck happened off of turn 2 down the backstretch, and that's where the big hill and mound was, and so you couldn't see.
So we really couldn't see the accident happen, but all we could see was the smoke. And the other thing that Glenn, my brother, and I could see was that my dad had not come by, and so you're sitting there basically terrified.
Our cars wound up about 30 feet apart on the racetrack. I had gotten out of mine. It was burning, but had not started burning inside yet. Just as I did, I looked and saw Fireball was coming out of his car, trying to get out of it. And the first thing he said when I got to him, he was conscious, he was not injured in the wreck. He said, "Oh my God, Ned, help me, I'm on fire."
It was really a terrifying set of circumstances and minutes that seemed like hours.